For a long time in video games, there's been a discourse about how a Superman game would work. How do you make it fun? How do you make a Superman game both feel authentic to the character, but also be a fun video game to play that has progression and difficulty and challenges? And that's difficult with a character like Superman because he is the most powerful being in the galaxy, right? This is a little bit of an over-exaggeration, but typically the only things that give him a real combat challenge are like Darkseid and Doomsday. And so then how do you create a fun video game around a character like that? Well, I have some ideas. Here's my pitch if there ever was to be a Superman video game. I'm not super well versed on the Superman comics or anything, but one of my favorite stories that I've seen of Superman was actually in the Justice League TV show. The episode Hereafter Part 2, where Superman is thrown into the future and the sun is now a red sun and it zaps a lot of his powers away. And he is forced to be resourceful and craft items and journey through this post-apocalyptic world with a sword and a sled led by these mutant dogs. And I liked it so much because it puts Superman in this position that he's very rarely in. And I always thought that that idea is the perfect way to adapt Superman into a video game. Now, obviously, you don't want to buy a Superman game and it feel like you're playing Mad Max. But I do think it's necessary to take his powers away if you're going to make a fun video game around Superman. Now, that's not to say that his powers are gone for the whole game. I think you ideally start off on Earth in Metropolis, you have all your powers, and you get to feel the power of Superman. You get to take down some robots super easily, and you just feel like the most powerful video game character of all time. Then a bigger threat comes, and you have to take this fight outside of the city. And you are just Dragon Ball Z style punching whoever this is through mountains, and you are just having this colossal fight. And then it culminates in Superman being sent away. Maybe he's giving chase, maybe he is being teleported, maybe he is being thrown into the future, maybe he's just being punched light years away into space. And wherever you land has a red sun that takes your powers away. And then as you progress through the game, you slowly get your powers back. As you find radiation points, not only is this going to have a sense of progression to the character, but a lot of Superman's abilities are tailor-made for video game level design. Powers like Ice Breath and Laser Vision have obviously combat utility, but they also have exploration utility. And there's a lot of interesting ways to play around with Superman design mechanics as long as he's not all-powerful throughout the entire game. I do think it's important to remind the player how powerful Superman is, and so there should be set-piece moments of the game where you walk into areas that overwhelm you with radiation, you get all your powers back, and you get a taste of what it's like to be the all-powerful Superman again, but then you kind of take that away from the player again as they're building up to getting back to fully powered Superman for maybe the last 25% of the game. And at that point, so late in the game, it makes sense to introduce enemies that, whether it's because they're aliens or they have kryptonite in them or whatever it is, still pose some sort of a threat, but you definitely feel like you're super powerful Superman again, and you have a greater respect for all these powers because you earned them back. If Warner Brother Games wants to steal this idea, have at it. I'd love to play this game. Just do me a favor and hire me onto the design team. I need a job.